Hey everyone, this is Troy from TroyPoint.com, and the new Formuler Z Mini IPTV dongle has been released, and in this video I'm going to show you how to supercharge it. You can find my in-depth review for the Z Mini by visiting the link that I've added in the video description below. Now there's one big shortcoming of this IPTV streaming dongle, and that's the minimal 8 gigabytes of internal storage. So the first thing I want to do before hooking up the device is to connect a flash drive to a USB-C OTG cable. I'm going to issue some ADB commands later in the video, which will allow us to expand internal storage so we can install as many apps as we want and record IPTV as well. I will link to the cable that I'm using in the video description below, along with everything else that I reference in this tutorial. I'm using a 32 gigabyte SanDisk 3.0 USB flash drive in this video, as I found that the smaller drives work better whenever expanding internal storage. Now you can definitely try larger drives, and if you have problems with the device rebooting, maybe go with something smaller. Okay, now I'm going to connect the Formuler Z Mini to my television and boot it up. Okay, you'll see that I'm on the user interface for the Formuler Z Mini. The first thing I'd suggest doing is go into Software Update and let it check to see if there are any updates available for the device. Now you're going to see that I am currently up to date. One of the great things about Formuler is that they're constantly pushing out new updates. Now the record date for this video is March 28th, and you will notice the last update that they issued was March 25th, so they definitely stay on top of things. Okay, now that I know that there are no updates available, I'm going to go back to the home screen. The next thing I want to do is get rid of any apps that I won't be using to free up some valuable space. So I'm going to go into Settings, Apps, See All Apps. Now the first one here, ExpressVPN, this comes by default on the device. I don't use ExpressVPN, I use Surfshark, and will be installing that here in a little bit. And you will see that Express is taking up quite a bit of space, 137 megabytes. So I'm going to uninstall that. Now, something else you're going to notice is that these devices do not come with a lot of bloatware. In fact, that's the only application that I need to uninstall. Okay, I'm going to hit the back button on the remote a few times. Next, I want to go into Device Preferences. About. I'm going to highlight Build, and I'm going to click this 7 times. I want to enable developer options. Okay, it says I am now a developer. Back button on my remote. I'm going to go into developer options. Now I do want to enable USB debugging because I will be issuing some ADB commands here in a little bit, and we need that enabled for it to work properly. Now I do want to adjust these 3 items here: window animation scale, transition scale, animator scale. I'm going to change this first one to off, second one to off, and the third one to 0.5. What that does is it speeds up the transitions between menus and screens. It just makes the user interface much quicker. And then the only other change that I'm going to make in this section is force allow apps on external. I want to turn that on because I will be expanding internal storage so we can install applications onto the USB drive that I connected in the earlier step. Okay, back button on my remote. Next, I want to go into Display and Sound. Now you will see that Formuler has introduced an upscaling setting right here due to the new processor that they're using on this device. Now I suggest turning this on. What this will do is take any video that's standard definition on the device, whether it's through the IPTV app or any third-party applications, any video that you put on here or play on here, it's going to upscale it if it's standard definition. Awesome feature introduced on this device by Formuler. Okay, I've got everything in the settings that I want to change. I'm going to go back to the home screen. Next, I'm going to go into Google Play Store, and I want to install the Downloader app. Downloader. And you're going to see one of the great things about this device is that voice assistant works great on the BT1 Bluetooth remote. I'm going to install Downloader. I'm going to open it. Allow. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to open the free TroyPoint toolbox that will allow us to install applications not available within the Google Play Store. I'm going to hit the up button on my remote, press the OK button, and I'm going to type in 250931. Enter button. Now I have dozens of applications on this page that can be downloaded and installed. Whenever I come onto this with a new device, I always mark this as a favorite within Downloader. To do that, I'm just going to hold down on the OK button of the remote for a few seconds. Add current page to favorites. Back button on the remote to get rid of the keyboard, move down, hit save. Now when I return here in the future, I can go into favorites, click TroyPoint toolbox, and the page will load without waiting for the 5-second load screen with the ads. Okay, I'm going to scroll down. Now, the first application I'm going to install is Surfshark VPN. Yes, we can install this through Google Play, but the reason I'm doing it through here is because this always has the most recent stable release. Many times Google Play Store could be weeks, if not months behind. So I'm going to hit download. I'm going to hit settings. I need to turn on unknown apps for Downloader, install, done, back button on my remote. I'm going to delete the installation file. There's no need to leave that on the device. Now, there's only one other application I'm going to install for now, but you will notice there's dozens of apps that you can install through this toolbox. And if you want to learn more, all you need to do is click the tutorial for each one. That will open the TroyPoint website and you can read about it. The other app I need to install is Remote ADB. So I'm going to hit download. This is going to be used to issue commands so we can expand internal storage so we can install apps onto our USB drive. Install, done, delete, and delete. Now, many of you TroyPoint followers may immediately go to this Android TV mouse toggle app and download and install that. There's no need to do that because I'm going to show you a trick here in a little bit on how to do that. There is a built-in mouse and we can assign a shortcut on the remote, which I will show here in a little bit. All right, I'm done with the Downloader app. Now I'm going to go back to the home screen. You're going to see here all the applications are included in this row here. Formuler provides a really nice customizable launcher. To move these apps, all you need to do is highlight the app you want to move, hold down on the OK button for a few seconds, then use the arrows on the remote to place it where you want it. I'm going to put this at the front of the list, click the OK button to drop it into place, and then back button to make it permanent. I'm going to do the same thing with Downloader. And then obviously there's going to be a lot of other apps that I install in the future once I've expanded internal storage, and I will do the same with those. Now, speaking of launcher, you can come into launcher settings here. There's different settings for the launcher that you can access in here. App groups allow you to set up different rows on the launcher. You're going to see there, I already tested this earlier. I created a favorites row, and this would appear underneath the row that displays all of the apps. Now, one shortcoming of this launcher is I wish we could change the position of these groups on the screen. And that's the reason I don't have the favorites enabled. I just leave the one row that shows all of the apps, and then I just organize those and put my favorite apps at the beginning of the list. So you can basically create two new rows with these options here. When you do enable one of these rows, you can go in and rename it. So maybe you want to put all of your video apps on one row. Maybe you want all of your audio apps on another row. You can organize those however you would like. And then all you have to do is go into select apps and you can tell it which applications you want on that row. And the locker group allows you to enable a row on the home screen that is password protected. So just as an example, I'll put the YouTube app in there, back button, and you're going to notice here when I try to go into this, it's going to prompt me for the password. And by the way, the default password is 4 zeros. And I'll show you how to change that here in a little bit. And once I type that password in, it displays the application. But again, my personal preference is to keep this as minimal as possible. I don't like a lot of clutter on that home screen, and one row of apps works perfectly for me. Parental settings. Again, the default code is 4 zeros. You can change the PIN by coming in here. You have the ability to designate an application that will automatically launch when the Formuler Z Mini boots. Many people will choose the IPTV app My Online 3 due to the fact that's the main application for this device that pulls in all of your IPTV channels, movies, and TV shows. Now, regarding the launcher, this is my favorite feature set. You can add these various items to the home screen of the launcher. You can show your recent IPTV channels, recent video on demand history, such as the movies that you've watched, video on demand favorites that you've marked, and then you can also show the TV channels that you've marked as favorite. Now, this option here is not going to populate until you actually mark a channel within the MyTV Online 3 IPTV app as a favorite. Now, you're going to see here what happens once I enable this. You're going to have this row show up here. So as you can see here, this launcher integrates with the MyTV Online 3 app, and you can easily launch your channels directly from the home screen. Awesome feature that saves a lot of time. Now you can save screenshots on the device, and those will be saved in whichever item you define here. To save a screenshot, simply hold down on the record button of the remote for a few seconds until the screen flashes, and then it will be saved in the location that you define on this screen. And the easiest way to get to one of those locations is by using a file manager such as Explore that you can install through Google Play Store. And you can also change the wallpaper for the various sections or rows that you enable on the launcher. Now, Formuler has done a great job with their Bluetooth voice assistant remote. You can come into this Formuler remote application, click the OK button, and you're going to see here there's different options you can go into that will allow you to enhance the remote. The first one I'm going to go into is set up hotkeys. You're going to see here we can define various actions for these buttons on the remote control. Now, the one that I really like is the mouse pointer. I'm going to assign that function to this first hotkey option. And you're going to see here, it gives you multiple options. So the one button can be used for up to 3 actions. So I'm going to set this first one as single tap. And then you're going to see here, there's all kinds of different actions that you can assign to these buttons. And I'm going to choose mouse for this action, hit the back button. I'm going to exit out of this. I'm going to press that button on the remote, and you're going to see here I now have a mouse pointer that I can use for applications that aren't designed for the TV experience. Many of us sideload applications that are meant for phones and tablets, and it's impossible to navigate those without a mouse pointer. And now we have that directly built into the remote without installing any type of third-party application. Press it again, and the mouse goes away. Okay, you can also set up your remote so it can control television, AV receiver, or sound bar. So I'm going to go into that. Now, I've already set this up for my LG television, but I will go through the process again. I'm going to hit continue. I'm going to choose the brand of television I'm using. Now I'm going to press test now, and after I do that, I'm going to be pressing the up button on my volume rocker on the remote. And although you can't see it, the volume did change on my TV. I did get a dialog on my TV showing that the volume is changing. So I'm going to press yes. When you're setting yours up, if it doesn't change, you would choose no. It's going to go to the next IR code, and it'll try that one. And then once you find one where the volume actually adjusts, you're going to press the yes button. So now I can control the volume and the power on my television with this BT1 remote. Set up volume control. Now, one mistake people often make is that they set the volume on the box itself at a lower level prior to pairing their remote with their television, and they wonder why the volume is so low. And the great thing about Formuler, they give you the option to set the Android system volume. You're going to see here, I'm pressing the left button on my remote, and that's going to adjust the actual volume of the box. You always want this all the way max if you have paired this remote with your television, because moving forward, the remote control volume button is going to control the television. Continue. So you're going to see here, I can choose what I want the volume button on the remote to control. And I currently have this set on TV. So you definitely want to come in here and define which device you want the volume buttons on the remote controlling. And then you're going to notice there's also color keys that you can define that will automatically launch various applications when you press them. So if I wanted to assign the red button to Surfshark, I can do that. Now when I go to the home screen, I press the red button on the remote, my Surfshark VPN application will open. Another awesome feature. Okay, something else you can do on the Formuler Z Mini is set up network storage. Maybe you have a Windows PC that you want to connect to. Maybe you have files on there that you want to retrieve through various media center applications. This makes that a breeze. Now, something else you can use this for is you can send the recordings from the MyTV Online 3 IPTV app over to your network storage instead of a USB drive if you don't want to mess with that. And all you need to do is click Add Storage, name the network storage whatever you would like. Network path, I suggest coming in here, getting rid of those 2 forward slashes, typing in an IP address of the device you want to connect to. And then if you have a username and password on the system, you'll want to put that in there. Make sure Reconnect on Startup is checked, and then click Mount. Then that should connect to your network storage device. Okay, the next quick tip I'm going to show you is that the Formuler Z Mini has a built-in app killer or task killer. Now, many times we have to install third-party apps to do this, and this is a great feature that Formuler has implemented. To do it, all you do is double press the home button quickly. You'll see this here. These are the recent apps that I have opened. I'm going to click the red button on the remote, and that's going to kill all of them. And this is a quick way to boost the performance on your device. Okay, let's expand the internal storage with the USB drive that we connected earlier. What I want to do now is go into Settings, Device Preferences, Storage, and you're going to see the USB drive that I connected in the earlier step. Now, if I click that, on most Android TV boxes, they give us the ability to expand internal storage so we can install applications onto that USB device. Unfortunately, Formuler does not allow for that. However, I can issue some ADB commands that will make that possible. But before I do that, I first want to format the USB drive that I inserted earlier. So I'm going to go ahead and click this button. format. I just want to make sure everything has been deleted and it's formatted properly for this device. Okay, it says it has been formatted. Now I'm going to go into the ADB app that I installed through the TroyPoint toolbox. Click OK. I'm going to type into this box localhost. Hit the enter button. We can leave this as 5555. Enter button and enter again. Now I want to click the checkbox for always allow from this computer and then click allow. Okay, there's quite a few ADB commands that I'm going to issue over the next few minutes, and I will be sure to add these to the video description below this video for easy reference on your part. Now when typing in these commands, be sure to double check everything that you're doing. One small mistake, these won't work. All right, the first command is sm space list dash disks. This is telling me the name of the USB drive, and the name is 8,0. Now I'm going to use that in some future commands that I issue. Now if you don't see 8,0 for your disk on the Z Mini, more than likely you missed the step earlier where I formatted the USB drive. Also, if you don't see anything where it says disk, more than likely there's something wrong with your USB drive. I suggest formatting it with the free application called Rufus, and I will also leave a video link for that in the description below. Okay, on to the next command. Now you may notice when you're typing in here that some items will autocorrect. If you see that happening, once it autocorrects, hit the back button or the X, and then it should put it back to the way you had it. Okay, this command is sm space has-adoptable space true. And you should get a return that says true, which I did. And there you saw the autocorrect. Back button, it goes back to the way it should be. This one is sm space set-force-adoptable space on. Check mark. Okay, the next one is sm space partition space disk colon 8,0 space public. Now you're going to make sure that you put 8,0 in there because that's the name of the USB drive that we saw earlier when we asked ADB to list the disks. Check mark. Now this one will take a few seconds because it is partitioning the disk. Okay, now I'm going to do another command that's very similar to the one that I just did. I'm just replacing public with private. The nice thing about this app, I can hit the back button to get rid of the keyboard, hold down on the OK button of my remote for a few seconds, and I can click the one that I just did. Now before I hit the check mark, I'm going to delete public, and I'm going to type in private. So just remember that when you're going through these, you can easily bring up the past commands you've issued by doing that. So this one is sm space partition space disk colon 8,0 space private. Again, it's taking a few seconds because it is partitioning the disk. Next command is sm space list dash volumes. And now you want to make sure that it says private colon 8,2 because that's going to be the next command that we issue. It has to do with the 8,2 mounted device. Now, if you don't see that, you're going to want to go through the previous steps that we just did. I'd suggest just starting over because more than likely you made a mistake somewhere when typing in these commands. All right, next one is sm space format space private colon 8,2. If you see this, click the OK button. Okay, for this next one, we can reuse a command that we previously used. So I'm going to hold down on the OK button of my remote. I'm going to choose this one here, sm set-force-adoptable on, and I want to get rid of on and replace that with off. So it's SM space set dash force dash adoptable space off. Check mark. Back button to get rid of the keyboard. Hold down on the OK button for a few seconds to bring up the passcodes. I'm going to pull up the one that I just did. And now I'm going to replace off with on. Check mark. And now we should be done issuing the proper commands. Again, a reminder, those commands are located in the video description below. Home button on the remote. And now I'm going to reboot the device. Power, restart. Okay, the device is rebooted. I'm going to go into settings, device preferences, storage. And now you're going to see under device storage, our USB drive is located there. And that's exactly what we want to see. I want to go into USB drive and I want to click migrate data to this storage. Move now. And it says it has migrated the data, USB storage reconnected. Everything is good there. So now moving forward, any applications that we install through the Google Play Store or anything that we sideload, it will be installed onto the USB drive. Now I do want to show you how you can move these applications back and forth. So I'm going to go back, go into apps, see all apps. Now since I previously installed Downloader, Surfshark, and the ADB app prior to expanding internal storage, those apps are currently located on internal storage. Now, if I wanted to move those, all I have to do is go into the app I want to move, storage use, click that, and now I have the option to move it over to the USB drive. And you're going to see there, after I do that, it says where it is located now. It's in the USB drive. And if I ever wanted to come back in here, I can move it back to the internal drive. And like I said, anything that you install moving forward will automatically be placed on the USB drive. Now, something I do want to comment on, I would never place applications that I use on a regular basis on the USB drive. You're going to get much better performance running your frequently used apps off of internal storage. So in my case, I use Surfshark VPN all the time. It's always connected. I would never put that on my USB drive. Personally, I would have just a handful of apps that I would run off of internal. Those would be the main applications I use on a daily basis. And then all other less used apps I'd put on the USB drive. Also, you're going to notice that there are some applications that come pre-installed that you can't move. And this is an example here, a Google Play Store. Now here's the MyTV Online 3 IPTV app that comes pre-installed on the device. You could move this over, but I strongly suggest not doing that because this will be one of the main apps that you're constantly using with your IPTV service. Now that you have all the storage that you need, be sure to get my free guide on how to install secret app stores on Android-based streaming systems like this. My guide will show you how to install hundreds of apps not available for install through Google Play Store. To get my guide, simply visit the link in the video description or scan this QR code with the camera app on your phone or tablet, and the guide will be delivered immediately to your inbox. And the last thing I have to do is set the recording path within the MyTV Online 3 IPTV application. So I'm going to go ahead and launch that. Now, once the app loads, I'm going to press the menu buttons, the hamburger button on the remote. I'm going to go into settings, DVR options. Now, I do want to enable time shift. I'm going to turn that on. That allows us to rewind, pause, and fast forward live TV. I'm going to go into this first option here, recording storage location. Now, you don't want to use this bottom option. You want to use the one that says emulated. So I'm going to choose that. Time shift storage location. This is where it's going to hold the video for what you're currently watching, so you can rewind, pause, and fast forward. Again, I'm choosing the same option, the emulated option. And then you can choose whether or not you want your extra recording time on or off. And now moving forward, anything that you record through the MyTV Online 3 app will be sent to the USB drive. Now, I also have a full video on how to set up and use the MyTV Online 3 IPTV application, and I will also link to that in the video description below, along with everything else referenced in my video. Please be sure to hit the thumbs up button, subscribe to my channel, and click the bell icon to be notified when I release new videos like this in the future. Guys, thanks for following Troy Point. Have an awesome day.